Hello everyone. I wanted to show you guys how to create a custom cinematic bars or letterbox effect within Adobe Premiere Pro. I am currently running Adobe Premiere Pro CS5. This will work in any version of Premiere Pro. Most of the work that we're going to be doing is actually going to be taking place inside of Photoshop itself. I'm going to go ahead and start in Premiere Pro and just kind of show you the entire workflow from beginning to end. Alright, so I have already created a new project. I have a new piece of footage imported. This is piece of footage you can see up here. It's 1920 by 1440 aspect ratio. This is a clip that was made from a series of stills captured with a GoPro HD Hero 2. Alright, now this is kind of a funny aspect ratio. I just created a new project, deleted the existing sequence in place, imported my footage. Now that I have it here, the reason I'm doing it this way is to create a new sequence that contains this footage that has the exact settings it's supposed to. In order to do that, I don't need to know what those settings are exactly. I take the footage that I've imported, drag it down to the new items icon right here, and by default, Premiere Pro will automatically create a new sequence that matches the settings to the footage exactly, so I don't even need to deal with any of that. I'm going to go ahead and hit the / key to zoom in to maximize the size of the clip within this little timeline box down here. Just to give you an idea what the footage looks like, I'm going to go ahead and hover over the preview pane, hit the tilde key to make it go full screen. I'm going to hit spacebar to play it. This is what it looks like. This is my first attempt at creating a jig that tracks my camera across a distance as it's doing time-lapse, and as you can tell, it's not quite perfect as of yet. Alright, so that's the footage. I'm going to go ahead and hit the tilde key again with my mouse within the preview pane to go ahead and bring it back down to normal size. So to begin the process of creating the letterbox or cinematic bar effect that I want to do, I'm going to go ahead and just click anywhere on the timeline where my footage itself is visible. It doesn't really matter where. What I'm going to do is go ahead and hit Control M or Command M on a Mac, and this will bring up the Export Media window. What I want to do is select JPEG from the Format drop-down menu, which I've already done. I know my footage is 1920 by 1440 pixels, so down here where it says video, even though we're exporting a JPEG image, it's still going to be within the video footage section. I'm going to go ahead and set the width and height to the correct settings, so 1920 by 1440. Alright, got that set. I always like to do everything at 100% quality, so I'm going to go ahead and bring that up. Alright, so I have this already set to export it to the desktop, and we'll go ahead and hit export. It's going to be really quick just because I'm simply doing a JPEG. This is the JPEG that was exported. I'll go ahead and right click, open with Photoshop. Now the reason I'm exporting this JPEG and opening the JPEG in Photoshop is because this is going to go ahead and create a canvas within Photoshop, or a document if you will, within Photoshop that has the exact settings, the pixel aspect ratio, the resolution, the pixel resolution that I need for the video footage. So I don't even need to deal with converting anything. It's just the way it needs to be from the start. Once I have this open, I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer. I'm going to delete the background because I don't need it. I only need this open, like I said before, so I can create the letterbox effect. Alright, so now that we have the canvas size that we need, all we need to do is decide on the aspect ratio of the cinematic bars that we want to use. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a Wikipedia page that I've already navigated to. It shows the different aspect ratios for cinema. I tend to use the 16:9, which is the same aspect ratio of 1080p footage or 720p footage. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and create one that's the 2.4:1. But if you ever have any questions of what you need to set your settings to within Photoshop, which I'm going to show you here in just a second, this is a good place to look because it lists all the different aspect ratios that are commonly used within cinema, or at least video footage, whether it's TV or cinema. All right, I'm going to go back to Photoshop. What I need to do is select the rectangle marquee tool up here. By default, it is set to normal, so you can drag out any size rectangle you want, any aspect ratio you want. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to go ahead and undo this because I don't need it. What I'm going to do is, from the style drop down menu at the top, I'm going to select fixed ratio. And I've already typed in 2.4 for the width and 1 for the height. And that's where this list of ratios comes in handy, because if you don't know what you need, find it here, go back to Photoshop, type it in up here. Now that I have this typed in, if I drag out a box, it's going to automatically be the aspect ratio that I want. So what I'm going to do to go ahead and create the title bars, first I'm going to fill in the box, which seems counterintuitive, but I'll show you why this works. Now I'm going to hit Control A to select the entire canvas, go up to the Layers drop down menu, go to Align Layers to Selection, select Vertical Centers. This centers this black box perfectly in the middle from top to bottom. So I have equal amount of space up here, equal amount of space down here. Since my entire canvas is selected at the moment, I'm going to hit the magic wand tool, select the subtract from selection option up here. When I select on the black area, it deselects it from the selection. So I'm only left with the top empty space and the bottom empty space selected. I'm going to go back to my paint bucket, fill both sections in with black, then hit Control-Shift-I to inverse my selection, which now selects what wasn't selected before. And in this case, that's the center section that I want to be able to see through. So I'm going to go to my eraser and simply erase all that. Hit Control-D to deselect it. Now the cinematic bars that I want to use have been created. All I have to do is save this as a PNG. And you save this as a PNG because it maintains the transparency. Wherever you don't have any information in the file, such as the center area here, it will be transparent. So I'm going to hit Control-Shift-S to save as. I'm going to go ahead and keep the name it automatically entered in there. I already have it set to save it as a PNG from the drop down here, so I don't need to change that. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. Okay. I'm going to close this out. I don't need to save the changes to the original file because I'm not even using that. I'm going to go back to Premiere Pro. From Premiere Pro, all I have to do is navigate to where I have it saved, which I already have my resource area set to. So this is what I need right here. The PNG, drag it into my resource pane up here. Now all I have to do is take my PNG, drag it to the video layer above any footage. If I have multiple layers of footage, if I have, say, footage in video layer 1, video layer 2, video layer 3, it really doesn't matter how many video layers I have. I just have to put the cinematic bars or the letterbox image on top of all of my layers of footage. So it will overlap and you'll actually get this here. You can see that if I hit Control Z, you can see how that goes away. When I put it on top of the footage, that's when it appears. Notice it's not over here. That's okay. All I have to do is drag this to the entire length of my footage. So if I have 4 or 5 different clips in there, make sure it covers all of them and you'll be set. So it's in there, and the cool thing is I can apply effects to my video layer and it will not affect this layer because it's an entirely separate layer. I can play this and you can kind of get a glimpse of what it's going to look like. I don't like how it's cutting my head off up here, and this brings up another point as to why I like to do this as its own layer rather than an effect applied to the video footage itself. Now what I can do with the letterbox in place, I can go ahead and select my video footage, go to motion, and I can drag my footage down just a little bit without affecting the letterbox. They will remain perfectly centered vertical even though I'm adjusting the footage. And the cool thing about this is if I have multiple pieces of footage behind this letterbox, I can do this separately to each one. I can even apply a motion effect with keyframes where, say I was a little jittery or something, I can move it up, then move it back down, and it's going to look perfect. The cinematic bars are not going to change their position at all. So I'm going to go ahead and maximize the preview pane. Actually, let me go ahead and bring my footage, my time indicator back to the beginning of the footage, maximize this, and now you can see cinematic bar effect overlaid on top of the footage. Gives it a much more dramatic effect. Now the cinematic bars themselves in this case are still too large just because the original footage was too big, but I can always crop that down so it gives me the nice 16:9 aspect ratio where it would probably cut off about here on the top and the bottom with these still centered. So this is my tutorial on how to make cinematic bars, also known as letterbox. If you have any comments or questions, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below, and I'll do what I can to get back to you. Thank you very much, and have a good day.